Hello everyone, bringing you a video today looking at a bit more Irish kit which has arrived, and this is very kind. Several different people have sent me bits and pieces, gifted me various items, and this little lot is from John Murphy and Paul Maguire of the County Carlow Military Museum. They've put together a little box for me, and John's very kindly sent this over. I do know most of the items which are arriving in this lot. One which is going to be particularly useful is an Israeli-made but Irish issue Orlite helmet. And so we'll take a look at that and the rest of the things that have arrived now. Okay, so here we have a box which I've done the normal thing with. I've just opened this up to avoid all the sound of the tape and everything on the video. A big thank you to John Murphy for sending me this. This is another very generous benefactor in Ireland who sent me some more Irish kit to have a look at. This, I believe, contains a helmet, which means I'm going to be able to put together a complete mannequin, which is going to be rather nice. Obviously, the web equipment I already had, the combat uniform I now have, so I can put together a late 80s set on a mannequin, which is going to be interesting to compare. So let's have a look at what we have in here. So before we get to the helmet, which we'll talk about in a minute, I've been sent a pair of dress trousers, I believe, but certainly worn with the shirt as well in barrack dress, what I was told. These are in beautiful condition. Label in there. Oh, well, there we are. So John's details in there. I'm not sure if he wants me to show the number and so forth on there, but anyway. So rear pocket there, made in this very nice twill material, which is lovely. Put those to one side for a minute. Okay, so the helmet. Now I know this has a load of stuff in, so I'm hoping if I lift this out, I can just let the other stuff fall down into, there we go, into the box, and we'll have a look at that in just a moment. But the helmet itself, this is an Israeli-made Irish issue Orlite helmet. This, I believe, is an 80s modification to the original M76 design. I'm not an expert on these, but I know a little bit about them. But a very good, relatively early composite helmet design. A little bit of the rubber edging coming away there. I'm sure I can do something about that. Not a problem regardless. So thank you very much for this, John. I do have a net for this on the way. And quite an interesting thing. Obviously very similar in outline to airborne helmets, quite close fitting to the head, which is something we'll talk about in a little bit more detail in future videos, because it did cause some issues in some deployments, which is the reason for the Mark 6 helmet we've seen in a previous unboxing video. But that's a topic for another video. But yeah, fantastic item. I don't think it'll be a problem to re-glue the rubber rim on there. That's excellent, and as I say, it's going to allow me to complete a mannequin for the late 80s, which will be an interesting thing to contrast. So put that to one side for the minute as well. We have some other bits and pieces in here. We have a DPM helmet cover here for the helmet, which is very similar to, well, Irish DPM obviously, but very similar to the British design in having the elastic foliage loops. Very different camouflage material, of course, very different pattern, but an interesting sort of take on the design there. And we have a green example as well, which was worn prior to the introduction. I believe these were introduced in the 90s, prior to the introduction of the DPM uniform. So again, basically the same design, but in plain green, and preceded the introduction of DPM. We have a brassard in here, which is made in the same material as the sort of fawn coloured shirt you'll have seen previously. Elastic on the back there, as you can see. A pair of socks, Irish issue socks. Always interesting to have the small kit as well, sort of the bits you don't see necessarily, but that's a nice addition as well. There's a whole load of insignia in here. So look here, so infantry collar badge there, a button, get these out of here, crossed swords, which is commandant's rank, which is equivalent to major if I remember correctly. There's certainly an infantry collar badge there, and a small IV button, possibly a cap button. Very small Irish Volunteers button. Hopefully the camera will. There we go. Just give it a moment, and it does tend to pick these things up. And we have various different insignia in here. 2-star privates insignia. A couple of corporals rank badges on elastic. Now John was saying, let the camera try and focus again. There we go. Find it in the end. John was saying these are on elastic for use in when someone's promoted. You can easily slide these up the arm, and that's the reason why they're sewn onto elastic, he was telling me. But they'll be useful going forward as well. So we have some rank slides here as well. We have lieutenant, I believe, captain, still in the original packaging as well, by the look of it in the cellophane. So 2 lieutenants, a pair of captains, rank slides, epaulets, lieutenant colonel, if I remember correctly, and then here we have obviously captain and lieutenant and subdued for use with the combat uniform. Put these bits and pieces to one side. A little bit of the cellophane broken off there, unfortunately, but never mind. And some other little bits and pieces and some paperwork and things in here. Let's have a look at what we've got. So, okay, so I think the drill manual, which will be quite interesting, as I think this is this multi-language, I think John was saying. Yes. Yeah, so you do have the Irish and the, which is useful for the positions and for the commands. But it's Irish drill is an interesting combination of French and British, so that'll be interesting to have a look through. An Irish PLC manual, which is going to be interesting to compare with obviously British use and the way it's set up and so forth. But you can see here you have the side pouches off the Bergen and everything, and the carrying yoke for them. It's essentially the same as British issue, the way it goes together and so forth. So that's going to be interesting to have a look through as well. And a little set of ear defenders, packaging there. John threw those in as well as an interesting bit of a small kit, and a leaflet for the Curragh Military Museum, which hopefully we'll be able to visit at some point going forward. Very highly recommended. So thank you for all of that, John. That's very, very kind of you, and an excellent addition to the collection as well. As I say, now with the helmet in particular, I will be able to set up a complete mannequin in Irish, late 80s Irish Defence Forces, well, Irish Army kit, which will be interesting to take a look at. So thank you very much to both John and Paul for all of that. Fantastic. And as I say, I now have the kit together to put together a late 80s and into the 90s Irish mannequin with the uniform and so forth, which is going to be interesting going forwards. Perhaps further comparison videos and so forth. Really great to have. The Orlite helmet is interesting, quite apart from the fact that it's a piece of Irish military kit, in that it's quite an early composite helmet design as well. So that's from that point of view, that's an interesting item to have in the collection as well from a historical point of view, as well as it being Irish issue. So we'll see going forward. I'll have to, once I'm able, I'll have to do a comparison video going forward, comparing perhaps British and Irish kit at a different time period. But as I say, if you would like to see that and you like my uploads, you'd be interested to see more from the channel, please do consider subscribing if you haven't already. And if you're new to subscribing or you've already subscribed, please do make sure you've hit the little bell, the little notification button down below. That will, of course, mean you're alerted when I upload future videos. If you really like my channel and you'd like to support it, you can. There's both a PayPal and a Patreon link down below. And thank you very much, as ever, to everyone who supports the channel using those two methods. It is greatly appreciated. There's also social media. There's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all linked down below. And of course, there's an email address as well, should you wish to make contact with me. But that's everything I wanted to cover in this video. So until next time, bye for now.